Welcome back to Fresh Faces New Ideas. My name's David. If you like this channel or you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe so you can keep up to date with all the videos that I do daily and when I go live on Fridays. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at Faces Ideas, and that will help keep you up to date. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about another anti-trans bill that the Republicans are pushing forward in Florida. And now, let's be clear. These bills are very similar to the election integrity bills. They're problems. They're solutions looking for a problem. Now, as we know, there was almost no voter fraud in the 2020 election. Now, I say almost no because there was a few cases here and there of Republicans trying to cheat. However, due to that, the Republicans want to rewrite all the voting laws and make it more difficult for people to vote. Because they're saying, oh, people don't trust our elections. Well, the reason people don't trust our elections is because you fucking lied to them. So now, the new issue is, there's two. They call it genital mutilation on children, trans children getting medical care. And they're going to destroy women's sports because they're allowing males to deal with it. What they don't tell you is that about half of the country has allowed for kids to participate in the sports of the gender that they identify with for almost a decade, since 2013. And in Florida in particular, they have a process for this. You know how many people have gone through this process? Thousands, millions, hundreds of millions? 12. 12 students have gone through the process in order to say, here, I'm a girl, I identify as a boy. I'm a boy, I identify as a girl. I'm, whatever the process is, go through. You know how many cases they have where this is turned into an issue? Zero. None. None. But let's go see this bill. Let's see what the Republicans are doing to save women's sports from a thing that's not happening. Okay. Let's see. House votes to block transgender athletes from girls' sports teams. Now, keep in mind, part of the reason they're probably doing this is because they have no sports left. If you're a Republican, you can't watch the NFL because a black guy kneeled. You can't watch the NBA because a lot of black guy kneels. You can't watch baseball because they said racism is bad. You can't watch NASCAR because they won't let you fly your traitor loser Confederate flags. You can't watch women's tennis because they grunt too much. You can't watch golf because an Asian person won it, probably. Well, I guess you have to watch golf because Donald Trump used to love to golf. So, who knows? Anyway, so almost a dozen transgender girls have played on girls' sports teams in Florida without controversy since the inclusive policies were passed in 2013. Since 2013, this has been allowed. And this is now they're trying to deal with this almost 10 years later. Want to block transgender girls on sports teams that align with their gender. On Wednesdays, Florida's House of Representatives brought the state one huge step closer to banning transgender athletes from girls and women's teams. Now this bill passed along party lines. Now, let's be clear about something. I want to make a very a point here, and I don't care if it's a little disingenuous or people don't think it's relevant. Republicans complain that Joe Biden is not being inclusive because he won't let them dictate his agenda and offer their terrible policies. Now, is every Joe Biden policy good? No. But so far, they're complaining that Joe Biden has just rushed over them. But he's only passed one thing of legislation. All across the country, you see Republican houses on party lines passing bills to restrict voting, and there's multiple of them that are attacking transgender women or transgender kids in general. They're doing it with generally no support from Democrats. But hey, Democrats don't want to have to be bipartisan. Even the bill's sponsors admit that transgender girls competing on girls' teams hasn't caused any problems. So in response, the NCAA has said it will consider pulling championships from states that ban transgender athletes from participating in women's and girls sports. It could cost them 50 tournaments and $75 million over the next 5 years. So now, and you're going to hear this, you're going to hear the NCAA is woke. The NCAA, keep it, the NCAA, which is basically using student athletes as slavery in order to, barely allow them to make a living in order to break in $1 billion. And this is when they give the girls, any type of actual representation, because as we saw during the men's and women's March Madness, they gave the women's like nothing, and apparently their tournament was like fantastic. I just didn't watch it. State representatives discussed this bill for nearly 4 hours. 18 amendments that would address concerns about transgender athletes competing in a more nuanced way than the bill's blanket ban. All 18 failed. So here's the argument. The Democrats are saying, look, we'll cede you that that this is some sort of problem, even though there's no data or anything. So instead of just saying, no, fuck you, you can't join this at all, we're gonna actually take some science and say, here's how you do it. And the Republicans in the Senate said no. Florida's House bill similar to legislation passed in Ohio, which was quickly challenged to the court, is now on hold on judge. Similar bans have been signed by Republican governors in Arkansas, Mississippi, and Tennessee, and lawmakers debating them in over a dozen states. However, there is a difference. The Senate version will allow transgender athletes to join girls or women's teams if their testosterone levels are below a certain limit for a year before they begin competition. We're going to go back to that point in a second. The bill's sponsors, Kaylee Tuck, denied the bill would ban transgender girls from playing. She argued the bill doesn't even mention the transgender language and repeatedly referred to transgender girls using anti-trans slurs, biological males. This is similar to things Ben Shapiro does, saying, I don't care what you call yourself, you're biologically a male, so therefore you're male, and I don't care. So since 2013, 11 athletes have gone through this documentation process. So this is the Jazz Jennings was the first one. So one of 16 states where high school athletes associations provide guidance that allow transgender students to join sports teams that align with their gender identity. The Florida High School Athletic Associations require documentation of consistency, identity, and expression, and medical information as a part of its process to clear transgender athletes to play on sports teams. Now, let's be clear about what's happening here, because I want to go back to I'm going to go back to this in a moment, but I want to talk about this. So the testosterone levels they're talking about the Olympic levels. They want to use the Olympic guidelines to what it is. Here it goes. The Olympic gender standards were clear. Senate Bill 2012 would allow transgender girls to compete in girls' sports only if they're able to adhere to the same testosterone standards that Olympics currently have. Now, so they're saying for you, a high school trans person, to decide whether or not you're going to be able to play in high school, you have to qualify for the same testosterone guidelines that the Olympics have to qualify for. Now, keep in mind, revised after the Tokyo Games. So what does that mean? They're going to wait after Tokyo to change this, because they realize that their current issues isn't fair. So currently, it only affects 3 athletes in the Olympics. So, and there's currently the court ruling about the South African runner. Let's see what it says. Okay. No transgender athletes are known to have competed at Olympic Games since 2003. So this is the previous guidelines set a testosterone level in a serum at below 10 nanomoles per liter of blood. That it seems likely to be halved. So according to the Florida House, they're saying that if you are a trans high school kid, you are a trans, elementary school kid, you're a trans college kid, you have to hit the Olympic level in order to play. Now, this is compounded by the fact that their policies also state that they'll throw doctors into jail for anyone who prescribes hormone blockers and gender altering drugs, to help transition them. So it's a double whammy. You have to qualify for the Olympic level to do this, but we're not going to allow you to take the hormones and the puberty blockers that will allow you to be the gender you choose. So the other thing of this is they have this, and the reason is requires documentation of a consistent identity and expression, and medical information is part of the process. Now, this is worth mentioning every single time you hear somebody say, "Oh, they're just letting children decide what their gender is, and maybe they'll let them be fire trucks." Or there's the attack helicopter meme. Like I identify as an attack helicopter. You can't, as a child, decide to get these drugs by yourself. In order to get access to these drugs, you have to go through a long, arduous process of a lot of testing with a therapist to make sure that this is really the right thing for you. It's not child mutilation. These drugs are all reversible. And I've covered this before. So let's wrap this up. This is anti-trans bias, plain and simple. It's not shocking. It's not surprising, and it's not going away. This is the new culture war. They lost the culture war with homosexuals. They did. Not for lack of trying, and not for lack of not trying to do it, because contrary to the people I've been arguing with, the current platform of the Republican Party in 2020 was that they were against gay marriage. That is their current platform. So trans people are the new people to kick. This is a solution looking for a problem. As I mentioned, even on the Olympic level, there's only 3 of them out of 11,000 athletes. And this is the first time since 2013 that somebody in the Olympics has been considered trans. One of which is an American. So by that logic, these Republicans don't believe in supporting American athletes. Look, this is not an issue. They're going to make it an issue. It is not an issue. The science does not back them up on this. The data does not back them up on this. If you hear people talking about this in this way, there is no proof that this is an issue. It just isn't. It's the same thing with voter fraud. They're making it an issue, and they're riling people up, and then using those people being riled up as a reason to clamp down on these people. Hi, welcome back to Fresh Faces, New Ideas. This is a little update to the video that I just did. I'm adding this on the end because there was another point that I wanted. This isn't the Florida bill. This is actually the House bill. And it's important to discuss the difference. So this bill will never be brought up, but this is the type of things that are being pushed by Republicans. So we're going to go look at this bill and some of the more troubling aspects of it. All right. So first and foremost, this bill in the House is being co-sponsored by Marjorie Taylor Greene. Anytime you are being co-sponsored by Marjorie Taylor Greene, you have to assume that at some point you're doing something wrong, because this woman is absolutely insane. I'm actually going to do another video on her later because she is a funny little thing to talk about. So one of the other things this particular bill does, is it stops funding to schools that allow transgender athletes to play on them. And then they're quoting this. He says, okay, it's fine. This legislation is supported by the United Conference of Catholic Bishops, which is a group that has a long history of opposing LGBTQ plus equality. The organization has denounced homosexuality, is contrary to the national law, and supports therapy to change one's sexual orientation. So that's conversion therapy. Now, once again, it is always worth mentioning, anytime you have one of these groups, you have to remember, that's not how America works. The way America works is you have the right to do your religion, but you don't get the right to impose your religion onto somebody else. So this is not a good endorsement. It's not a good endorsement anyway. There's dozens of anti-trans bills. This is similar to the other bills. So here's the other part. Let's see. So it has a prove it clause in it. So Stuber's 2021 bill does not say how state and local sports governing bodies should define or check athletes' reproductive biology and genetics at birth. All the bill does is threaten their federal funding if they don't. The bill contains no language banning states or schools from using forced genitalia or DNA exams on girls and women who want to participate in school sports. Let's see. With threatened federal funds to state and local athletic organizations to allow a person whose sex is male to compete in an athletic program activity that is designed for women or girls. Does not describe how exactly to determine someone's sex. It's just vaguely stating the sex should be recognized based solely on a person's reproductive biology and genetics at birth. So, hold on. What that means is you have to check a person's genitalia. They're going to have these people they're going to have doctors check these kids, whether they're men or not. Children should be able to learn without worrying about whether they will be denied access to the restrooms, locker rooms, or sports. This is the counter argument to this. You're going to be checked. They're checking children's genitalia to make sure they're the right one. Now, this is the party of free speech and not big government. Wants the government to literally check whether your children have a penis or not. But wait, it gets more than that. This is the Iowa law. Allows for female student athletes' gender to be challenged and requires the athlete to undergo medical exams to prove it. A doctor, the law says, will have to examine the athlete's genitalia, hormones, and DNA and make a determination of their sex, something the Democrats point out is not recommended by the American Academy of Pediatrics. So on one side, you have homophobic Catholic priests, and on the other side, you have doctors. But wait, there's more to this. His bill does not have similar requirements for boys or men who want to participate in sports, meaning that the genital exams will only be for girls and women. The transgender equality advocates argue the entire point of this legislation is to deny transgender women are women. Let's repeat this. His bill does not have similar requirements for boys or men who want to participate in sports, meaning that general examinations will only be for girls and women. So therefore, they're not saying if you're a woman, if you don't have it equally, even if you use this absurd standard, that you should just check whether you have a penis or not, whether you should do this. And it's only for girls, not for men. How does that make any sense? That makes no sense. Look, this whole thing is crazy. Let's wrap this up. This whole thing is crazy. It does not make sense. It's just designed to go after a marginalized group and make them feel more marginalized. There's no data to back this up. There's no science to back this up. It just is. That's just the way it works. It's just bad. These bills, with any anti-trans bill or argument about equality in girls' sports, is almost always based on a lie. It is not a real issue. They're making this up to go after a marginalized group because they hate people. And that's their thing. They just hate and hate and hate. And go after marginalized groups because they know that their policies are not popular. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like this video and you want to keep up to date with the other videos. Please follow me at Faces Ideas, and I will see you in the next one.